Welcome back to AI Search Explained by Rank4AI. I'm Adam Parker, and I'm here with Jimmy Connoley. Today we're diving into something that's becoming absolutely critical for businesses: how reviews and mentions influence AI recommendations.
And when we say influence, we mean really influence. We've been running audits through rank4ai.co.uk for months now, and the patterns around reviews are probably the strongest signal we're seeing across ChatGPT, Perplexity, all of them.
The research is fascinating because AI systems don't just count reviews like traditional search algorithms. They're interpreting sentiment, context, and credibility in ways that completely change how businesses need to think about reputation management.
Right, but let's be clear about what we mean by reviews and mentions. We're not just talking about Google reviews here. These AI systems are pulling from everywhere: Trustpilot, industry forums, news mentions, social media discussions.
Exactly. When I run interpretation tests on ChatGPT or Claude, they're synthesizing information from dozens of sources to form opinions about businesses. A single mention in a trade publication can carry more weight than 50 generic Google reviews.
Which is both good and bad news for UK businesses. Good because it's not just about gaming review platforms anymore. Bad because you need to be monitoring and managing your reputation across a much wider landscape.
The ecosystem approach is crucial here. In our audits, we've seen businesses with great Google reviews but poor AI recommendations because they're getting negatively mentioned in industry discussions or forums.
And that's where most businesses are completely blind. They're checking their Google My Business reviews religiously, but have no idea they're being discussed on Reddit or in specialist Facebook groups.
The sentiment analysis is particularly sophisticated. These systems can distinguish between authentic, detailed reviews and obvious fakes. But more importantly, they're weighing recent mentions much more heavily than historical ones.
So what does that mean practically? If you had a bad period 2 years ago, but you've sorted your operations out, how quickly does that shift in the AI recommendations?
It varies by system, but we're seeing shifts within months rather than years. Perplexity seems particularly responsive to recent patterns. If a business starts getting consistently better mentions and reviews, we've seen recommendation improvements within 8 to 12 weeks. That's actually faster than traditional SEO recovery. But it means businesses need to be much more proactive about encouraging reviews and mentions from satisfied customers. The key insight from my research is that AI systems prefer detailed, specific reviews over generic positive ones. They're looking for mentions of particular services, staff members, outcomes, concrete details that suggest authentic experiences.
Which brings us to how businesses should be asking for reviews. Instead of just saying, "Please leave us a review," you need to guide customers toward the specifics that AI systems value.
Precisely. When we audit businesses, we often find they have decent review volumes, but the content isn't rich enough for AI interpretation. The systems want to understand what specifically you're good at, not just that you're generally recommended.
And it's not just about asking better, it's about timing. When's the optimal moment to request a review to get that detailed response?
The sweet spot seems to be 2 to 3 days after service completion for most sectors. Fresh enough that details are remembered, but enough time has passed for the customer to assess the full outcome.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room: negative reviews and mentions. Traditional wisdom says respond professionally and move on. Is that still enough in an AI world?
It's more nuanced now. AI systems are analyzing both the complaints and the responses to form judgments about how businesses handle problems. A thoughtful, detailed response can actually strengthen your position. We've seen this in our client work. Businesses that engage substantively with criticism often score better in AI recommendations than those with fewer negative reviews but poor response patterns.
The systems seem to interpret good complaint handling as a positive signal about business operations. It suggests you take customer feedback seriously and have systems in place to address issues.
Which means UK businesses need to shift their mindset. Instead of seeing negative reviews as pure damage control, they're opportunities to demonstrate professionalism to AI systems.
But there's a technical aspect here too. The way these systems weight different review platforms is evolving. Google reviews still matter, but we're seeing increasing influence from industry-specific platforms.
Can you give us a practical example? Say you're running an accounting firm in Manchester. Where should you be focusing your attention?
For accountants, we're seeing strong AI weighting for reviews on platforms like FreeIndex, Trustpilot, and mentions in local business forums. ChatGPT particularly seems to value reviews that mention specific services like VAT returns or business setup.
And the location element is crucial too. These AI systems are getting much better at understanding local context and regional business ecosystems.
Absolutely.
When someone asks ChatGPT or Perplexity for recommendations in Manchester, it's not just looking at businesses in Manchester, it's considering businesses mentioned positively by other Manchester businesses or in Manchester-specific contexts. So the networking and local business relationships suddenly become part of your digital strategy. If you're getting mentioned positively by other local businesses, that feeds into your AI profile. That's one of the biggest shifts I've identified in my research. AI systems are mapping business relationships and using collaborative filtering. If businesses that get recommended together tend to be good, that strengthens both profiles.
Which brings us to a practical question for our listeners. How do you monitor all of this? You can't manually track every platform where you might get mentioned.
There are monitoring tools, but honestly, most businesses need to start with the basics. Set up Google Alerts for your business name, check the major review platforms monthly, and pay attention to where your customers naturally gather online.
And actually ask your customers where they talk about businesses like yours. Most business owners would be surprised by the answer. It's often not where they think. The other critical point is understanding that AI systems cross-reference information. If you claim to specialize in something, but there are no reviews or mentions backing that up, it weakens your credibility across all claims. So consistency between what you say about yourself and what others say about you becomes paramount. You can't just add new service pages and expect AI systems to believe you're expert in those areas. Exactly. The verification aspect is much stronger than traditional search. AI systems want evidence of expertise, not just claims of expertise. Let's get tactical for a minute. If a business realizes they've been neglecting review management, what's the priority order for fixing this? First, audit what's already out there. Search for your business name across platforms, see what AI systems are currently seeing. Then identify where your satisfied customers are most likely to leave detailed reviews. And be realistic about capacity. It's better to manage 3 platforms well than to spread yourself across 10 and do a mediocre job everywhere. The data from our audits strongly supports that approach. Businesses with consistent, detailed reviews on fewer platforms consistently outperform those with sparse reviews across many platforms. What about businesses in sectors where reviews are less common? Not everyone's running a restaurant or hotel.
That's where the mentions become more important than formal reviews. B2B businesses might get mentioned in case studies, industry articles, or conference discussions. AI systems are indexing all of that.
So for those businesses, it's about creating opportunities for positive mentions rather than just waiting for reviews. Speaking at events, contributing to industry discussions, being quoted in relevant articles.
And documenting customer success stories where possible. Even if they're published on your own site, AI systems factor them in when they're detailed and specific.
But again, authenticity matters. These systems are getting better at detecting manufactured mentions versus organic ones.
The sophistication around detecting artificial patterns is increasing rapidly. Businesses trying to game the system with fake reviews or mentions are increasingly likely to be penalized rather than rewarded.
Which brings us back to the fundamental point. You need to actually deliver good service and then systematically capture and showcase that in ways AI systems can interpret.
It's both simpler and more complex than traditional SEO. Simpler because good service naturally generates the signals AI systems value. More complex because those signals are distributed across many more touchpoints.
And the timeframes are different too. You can see impacts much faster than traditional SEO, but you also need to maintain consistency across more channels.
The velocity of change is definitely higher. We've seen businesses improve their AI recommendations within weeks of implementing better review strategies, but we've also seen rapid declines when service quality drops. So it's more responsive, but also less forgiving. You can't coast on historical performance the way you might have with traditional search rankings. That responsiveness is actually advantageous for most UK businesses. If you're genuinely good at what you do and you start systematically capturing that through reviews and mentions, you can compete effectively regardless of how long you've been in business. Whereas in traditional SEO, domain age and historical authority created barriers that could take years to overcome. Exactly. A new business with excellent recent reviews and relevant mentions can outrank established competitors who've been neglecting reputation management. Before we wrap up, let's be clear about one thing. This isn't about manipulating AI systems. It's about making sure they have accurate information about your business quality. That distinction is crucial. The businesses succeeding in AI recommendations are those focused on genuine service improvement and authentic customer feedback, not those trying to game algorithms. And the good news is that approach scales. The systems and processes that generate positive reviews and mentions also tend to improve your actual business operations. So, to summarize the key takeaways, AI systems analyze reviews and mentions across multiple platforms. They prefer detailed and specific feedback over generic praise. Recent mentions carry more weight than historical ones, and authenticity is increasingly important.
Most importantly for UK businesses, start monitoring where you're mentioned, be systematic about requesting detailed reviews, and remember that good complaint handling can actually strengthen your AI profile.
If you want to understand how your business currently appears to AI systems, we run comprehensive audits at rank4ai.co.uk. Thanks for listening to AI Search Explained, and we'll see you next episode.